I don't know what to do with my life here. What was that? Oh my god. Hi, I'm Josh, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a discussion of the Scythe trilogy by Neil Shusterman. I say Scythe trilogy, it's actually the Arc of the Scythes, or the Arc of the Scythe. I don't know, just a fancy way of saying the Scythe trilogy. I loved this series so much. I actually I approached it with some trepidation. I was seriously worried that I wouldn't like it. Up to this point, I had had a lot of negative experiences with a lot of YA books. I think part of that was just reading the wrong YA books. I was to the point where I was thinking, you know what, I just don't like YA anymore. Like 4 months later, from January, I realized that is not the case. I've read plenty of YA books, Arc of the Scythe among them, that I have just fallen in love with. His writing was spectacular. It did not feel like I was being talked down to. It didn't feel like it was being simplified. And it was also just so well thought out. The plot was well developed. Everything in this first book, it was shock after shock after shock. And I loved it so much. I was so happy with it. I had not left a book, and since I've started my channel, where I had want to just drop everything to read the next book. I had not felt that urge since all this has started. I think it really speaks highly to Neil Shusterman's abilities here, the imaginative and the engagement of this series so much. And when I finished, I ended up holding off on this one for 2 months because I didn't want to mess up my January TBR, because I had an ambitious goal. And then February was Black History Month, and then March was dedicated mostly to women, because it was Women's History Month. And then I finally got to it this month, and I thought it was good. There were parts where I felt like it wasn't as exciting or as engaging as the first book. But then the ending came, and dear God, dear God, I was just flabbergasted. I mean, this happened yesterday. In fact, I recorded my reactions after I read it. I'm gonna input that here. I don't know what to do with my life here. What was that? Oh my god. I mean, it wasn't that. It was. Oh my god. I thought I saw the ending coming. And even when it came, I thought, okay, this still isn't as extreme as the first one. And then it happened. The one thing happened. The thing that I think is saying what's going to happen. I won't say what I think it's going to be, but if it's exactly what it seems to be, I can't wait. I mean, I'm supposed to wait? Pace myself? I don't think so. No. I'm gonna read the next one. God, that was good. It was so good. God, this series is so good. It's so good. I love it. I think it may have went from a 4.5 to a 5-star because of the ending. I mean, it was still a really good read, even if the ending is what made the book. By the third book, which I don't have physically yet, it was just all very grounded. The story, there were definitely parts that were foreshadowed. The first one, I felt like he did a good job of leaning towards certain things without actually revealing it. For the third one, there were some things that I felt like we sort of saw coming, but not exactly. There were still surprises for sure. Where it ended up going, I think, was a bit of a surprise. There were certain things about that were hinted at in the second book and the third book that was like, by the time it actually came revealed, it did surprise me. I was very happy with that. And also, the takeaway message is exactly what I want. If you've read this and you know me at all, then you'll know why I love the takeaway. I guess one of the ways I may have looked at this series coming into it a little negatively was the whole premise and the idea that we might be put in this situation and how easily it could be avoided. I feel like it really came to a close really well by sort of showing us why it is the way it is. I don't want to say any more than that to spoil it if people haven't read it. I highly recommend it. We should read it. Even if you don't like YA, please give it a shot. I think it's very much one of those books that is very equal parts YA as it is adult. I will say that by the third book, I went into it really excited based off the ending of the second one. And I won't pretend I wasn't disappointed. It did not go the direction I thought it would. Felt like the direction it went was just not as exciting as it could have been. Don't get me wrong, I'm still happy with how it ended. I mean, I gave all 3 books 5 out of 5 stars, but where I thought it was going was just not that. I think this is a good point for me just to say, let's get into spoiler section. So, spoilers. Obviously, the first one, it ends with him becoming Scythe Lucifer. I thought that was so exciting. I love that ending. And then the harm it ended up causing in book 2, like, dear God, it ended so abruptly. And then there was just one bad thing after the other. Ended up leading to this terrible figure just becoming stronger, partly because of the actions of these 2 sides, which I feel like was just, I don't want to say poetic, but was a good reminder of how even the best of intended actions can backfire significantly in ways you may not anticipate. And I feel like part of what happened was still sort of blame upside Lucifer, of Anastasia as well, of her decision to fight it and bring him to court instead of just letting it play out in the first place. Part of me wonders like how much this would be avoidable, given the fact they can never die if they don't want to die. I did not see, I love the series, but I'm still terrible with names. Goddard. I don't see Goddard ever self-gleaning himself. The third one, he talks about how it took him 95 years to get here. He did have no idea how people would have made this type of progress, any significant progress in their life before, in the time of the mortals or whatever the hell it was. So maybe even if this stuff didn't happen, he would have reached power eventually because of his ability to just wait and reach power slowly, if not immediately. Now by the end of the second book, when I realized they were going to be locked away, I thought to myself, okay, I see where this is going and I love it. It's so fucking dark and I want it to happen. And then it didn't happen. What I thought was going to happen was they were going to be locked away. They were going to wake up a century or more later with Goddard's rule just completely cemented, at a completely redefined global setup where literally everything was just orchestrated against them. Everything was in his hands, and everything that could go wrong literally would have gone wrong. Unfortunately, that wasn't what happened. They came out 3 years later, which I guess was significant, but you can imagine, from my perspective, expecting 100 years is not long at all. It was just a different type of story, which was fine. It was good. I just felt like he could have taken it so dark, and it would have been so good. I feel like he could have still sort of had this sect of going to space. Like, he wanted an ending that was good both for humanity and for Earth. I feel like there's hope on Earth for sure. Newfound order that is just fundamentally more ethical than what they had. But what could have happened was he still took them to space, but the Earth was just left screwed, which wouldn't have been a happy ending, but it would have been a bittersweet ending. There's hope for humanity, but the Earth as we know it is still ruined. This is me fantasizing about how dark things could have been, but it wasn't. I still absolutely loved it. I don't know, let me know what you think. Let me know what you were expecting going in when you found out they were going to be sealed and basically preserved for however long it took. I thought it would take longer. I thought for sure it would take longer for whatever reason. I don't know why. I'll also mention, I liked how Neil Schusterman never took the AI into a very dark direction. I was really expecting something really dark to happen at the end of book 2 because of all of our conversation with from Thunderhead's perspective about his prerogative of the inability of Earth to work without him. Without it. I was expecting maybe for it to either just be destroyed, to erase itself, to move itself away from the Earth, or perhaps turn against the Earth. Or maybe in the third book, it would create an AI that takes over it and then takes over the world. Or try to at least. And it didn't go that direction. I like having a story that isn't about AI's gone wrong, because they don't have to go wrong, right? I think that sort of is mirrored well by the Murderbot series by Martha Wells. Yeah, those are all my thoughts. I feel like it was more tame than I was expecting this to be. I was really more excited yesterday after I finished Thunderhead. It was still a solid series and I absolutely loved it. Please, if you haven't already, check out Scythe, and then I'm sure you will check out Thunderhead and The Last Book Foretold. Again, check it out. Have a great day.